Hello and welcome. I am Tmzoids, your host for today, and today we're going to be talking about Dignitas and how they are okay. What? Okay? How can they be okay? They don't have a coach. They're ninth out of 10th place in NALCS. They're losing high-profile players recently. The management's going to shit. All this stuff. All this stuff. Calm down. Calm down. Dignitas people, Dignitas fans, have faith. And of course, people that are not really Dignitas fans and want to be critical of the management and everything that's going on has to take a step back. So, where do we begin? Let's start right off the bat. I just want to say I do recommend before you go listen to this video that you go and check out Richard Lewis. I respect him as a journalist and as what he does for the esports community. He does this show called Trash Talk, Trash Talk number 12 to be exact. Featured actually Dignitas Odee, which is the owner of Dignitas, or the overseer of Dignitas. And he actually gets him in the call because somebody actually complained. Somebody came in Trash Talk and said, hey, Dignitas doesn't have a coach. This is a problem. Where are we right now with Dignitas? Why are they doing so bad? This is why they're struggling. So I do recommend that you go check that out. It does a lot more research. I use this part of my research. I'll be talking about this actually in the video. So I do recommend that you go check that out. Calm down, breathe, because Dignitas is okay. Yes, they are 4-7. They're ninth place. They're losing to Team Impulse, Team 8, and even Winter Fox. How is this possible? No, I do respect all teams, just to be clear. I'm not creating drama with any of those teams. I do respect a lot of players on there and respect what they do. A lot of players are fighting for the top. It's a lot different this year. I'm really impressed, actually, with how the standings look. It's a lot closer. It's not just a landslide of the top teams to the bottom teams in NA, but that's for another topic. So what do I say? Dignitas is okay. Why do I say that? So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back from the end of the split of last season, and a lot of things have happened in Dignitas, and I think it's important that we should start there. So Dignitas is known for being really streaky. They win a lot of games, and then they lose. They lose a lot of games. It's like they literally win like 10 games in a row, and then they lose the next 10. It's just how it works. Dignitas is like that. It was always like that for some odd reason. It was just there was not really many roster swaps. Nothing was really going on. Everything seemed fine. And then all of a sudden, boom. Everybody's leaving, it seems like. Let's start with, I guess, the poaching incident. You can believe whatever you want on that incident. You had Scara and, of course, Zion Spartan from the top lane. Scara being their coach and analyst, I guess, from Dignitas. Being poached, and their top lane, Zion Spartan, being poached from Dignitas and going to CLG. Like I said, you can believe whatever you want on that, but they end up going to CLG and wanted bigger and better things. And Zion Spartan wasn't there too long. Keep in mind, Zion Spartan has had a past and a history of going elsewhere and was on other teams before that, but we're not going to discuss the poaching incident. But going forward, then you had Dignitas Cutie Pie step down. What's going on? What's going on? The management, you know, Crumbs makes this video and he's talking about friends and seeing his friends go down. What does this all mean? Clearly, there's problems in there, the management and everything. No. Calm down. We're overreacting again. Reacting. But Dignitas, Cutie Pie, steps down, says he wants to just be a full-time streamer. He's enjoying himself. It's much more relaxed. It's not as tense, you know, because you really could screw around. As long as you have the streaming personality. I'm looking at myself. I'm like, man, my hair. But you have the streaming personality, and he had it. You know, he got a lot of viewers. He kept a lot of concurrent viewers. He had a lot of subscribers, and, you know, you can't blame him. You can't blame him from going, hey, I can stream whatever I want. I'm making a lot more money doing this, and I don't have to take the game as serious. And, you know, as he said himself, he enjoyed playing with his friends. He enjoyed just having fun. And as esports evolves, that's not really the case. And we've talked about that before, you know. Teams want to win. They want to go to Worlds. They want the best of the best teams. And, you know, sometimes when you're on a team and you're like, man, this guy is doing bad. He's toxic. You know, he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's underperforming. You know, Cutie Pie didn't want that on him. He admits that in his video. He's said this many times. He doesn't want to be like, you're in, you're out. You know, it wasn't something that he wants. So what do we have left here? We have the shifter in the mid lane, which has had all kinds of rumors and whatnot on him. You know, people have stated many times that he's toxic, doesn't get along with his junglers, has an ego problem. I think that's just more speculation. There's really no solid proof. There's no really report or issues with the whole ordeal with Shifter. Nobody's ever really come forth and said Shifter's really been a problem. In Dignitas, it just seems like one of those things that Reddit kind of leeches on, and it's like, oh, Shifter's the problem, you know, because the mid laner and the jungler aren't clashing. It's got to be one of them. It's either the jungler, which was Crumbs at the time, which we'll talk about in a second, or it's Shifter. And Shifter's kind of new, you know, he doesn't say much. If he does say something, you know, he comes off cocky maybe. It depends on the person you're talking to or the person watching, I guess. So then we had Crumbs. Crumbs in the jungle. We had new people, of course, Gamesu in the top lane. We had Core JJ at the bottom, and then we kept Kiwi Kid as a support. So we got two main players still. We got Crumbs and Kiwi Kid from the original roster of what last year, last split, whatever you want to call it. You had these unknown Koreans come in and pretty much nobody really knew much about, and everybody's like, "Whoa, who are these people? We don't really know about them, not know names." And I don't think that's the case. I mean, Odee addresses this in his blog, but you know, it's a hit or miss. You know, not every Korean is godlike, how we perceive them to be here in NA, and I think other parts of the world we believe that Korea is just this god tier, has the greatest players ever, and just can do great things and carry games. That's not the case. We've seen this with Piglet. You know, he was a season 3 world champion. Here he is benched on Team Liquid. We've seen it with Sareth in the top lane of CLG at the time. He was on no. Nobody knew really about him. Monte Cristo picked him up, and he didn't really do much. Now he's a rage case, causing a lot of trauma in solo queue, but that's besides the point. Again, but yeah, Game Soon Core JJ, Koreans, everybody was like, I don't know these people, what are they doing? They're not really that good. Well, it takes time to adjust, as with every player that comes to NA or EU, you know. You have that language barrier, you're in a whole new environment, you have lack of friends, you have lack of family support. All you have is your team, these unknown players really, that you haven't played with until you moved here, most likely, and live with them. And you just it's a lot. We'll never comprehend how much it is until we actually go out and do it ourselves. If you ever go travel the world and you don't understand the language or you can't communicate well, it's frustrating. You know, you want something or you want to go find something, and you know, you can't do it because you can't communicate. There's not really the barrier's there, and you feel out of place. You're a tourist. Yes, you're enjoying your vacation or whatever you're there for, but ultimately, you know, you can live in your own hotel. You go in, you're living by yourself. You don't really have to communicate with that many people. This is a whole nother step. You're moving in with people that you don't really know. You're playing with them on a day-to-day basis. They are depending on you to do your job, and you're depending on them to keep your job. Everything. So it takes time. And I think GameSu and Core JJ have been doing well. They have their bad games, they have their good games. I'm not saying they're best of the best, but it does take time to adjust, and then you have that all barrier there. And then, of course, you got Kiwi Kid, probably the veteran there, and just holding down the fort. He's doing well, I think. He met his faults, and that's good as a pro player. You know, he's trying to work at him. He's still trying to improve, and that's good as a pro player. And of course, like I talked about in the mid lane, we had Shifter, so he's doing well. You know, he has his really good games, and then he has his really poor games. So, you know, it is what that is. So Crumbs, let's talk about Crumbs because this is a big part now of Dignitas. So Crumbs, since CLG has poached away Sakara and took away Zion Spartan, Crumbs was supposed to be the one, besides he is the prophet. Keep in mind, he is always going to be the prophet. But he was the one that was going to take on the head leadership or head coach or head shot caller here in Dignitas. From what I've understand, he was like the shot caller and leader when it comes to things. And Crumbs, you know, he was the jungler. He had to take on a lot more responsibility. He was more in charge. He makes the calls, and it seemed like he was frustrated. You know, in his video, he states that he tried to make friends. He didn't seem like he really fit in place. He was underperforming, as Odee stated on his video in Trash Talk. And Crumbs knew that himself. and he just wanted to do something better. He's not going to leave the pro team, but everybody needs a break. I think everybody, like I said, pro players, it's fluctuating. In Korea, you last from like 1 to 2 years tops, and in NA, you can go for 3 to 4, and you start rolling down, and you're like, well, is this really what I want to do? Maybe I'll venture off and do something else. Maybe I just need a little break. But Crumbs was underperforming. He was not having a good time. The environment, he just needed to change it up. He respects Dignitas. He cheers for Dignitas, and that's the main thing. But we brought in Cloud as a substitute, which is the next thing. Because Dignitas has gone through 3 junglers within 6 weeks. And that's kind of scary. That's kind of scary. But then they bring in Cloud as a substitute. He's a young jungler, still new to the scene, really right off the solo queue or challenger, whatever you want to call it. And he comes in, he's doing all right. He makes these flashy plays. He's very aggressive, but he needs a lot of work. He needs to learn. He's, like I said, very young. He's also in school, so that's maybe not the best pick for Dignitas, maybe not the best idea. And then all of a sudden, a Zingy shows up. Oh, Lord and Zingy has played this week in week 6, and that's going to be their official jungler. I'm actually kind of surprised. Cloud wasn't doing too bad, but Zingy is here. Everybody was kind of excited for Zingy. He's more of a known name. People enjoy him. He had a rough start though, and had the wrong runes. He went AP. Everybody gave him a hard time about that. Not having the strongest jungling game, but it takes time. Like I said, there's a lot of mix up here. You pretty much lost your leader, as Dignitas Odee said. Crumbs, he didn't expect Crumbs to really step down or stop playing on Dignitas, but things happen. You got to go on the fly. And so, you're bringing in a new jungler, and especially if you didn't keep Cloud, like they didn't keep Cloud, so now they're introducing another jungler, so you're on your 3rd jungler. You don't really have a true leader or shot caller in your games. You could have the support do it, which is Kiwi Kid, which is the veteran in the team, or you could have somebody else as shifter, or one of the new 2 people call shot call, or the jungler has to pick up that slack and shot call. And if you're doing behind and it's your first game, and there's just so many factors that we have to keep in mind that Dignitas is going through right now. They're at the bottom of the pack. They can finish top 5. Kiwi Kid told you that himself, and I believe him. I believe that they do have a strong team. They do synergize well from what they have created a team now. They do have a team behind them, believe it or not. You go to your Wikipedia page and people are like, oh, you have your life coach, which is Malexia, and you have your analyst, which is Erling Korn, sorry, and you don't really have a coach. You don't have a coach. You don't have a coach. And people are freaking out, and they're quoting what Cloud said, and of course what Kiwi Kid said in their interview, and then of course you have the Reddit post. Why don't they have a coach? Now you're in NA. You're 3 years behind now, technically even more now, because Korea had a coach now, and a lot of your NA pro teams have coaches of some sort. And I think Odee did a great job addressing this. Odee did a fantastic job. A lot of the coaches you see up there in NA LCS and EU LCS just has down a pen and paper of what they already discussed about the day before or 2 days before. They have their main plan that they want to do and then their backup plan. They're not really a coach. What do I mean by that? A coach can, look at the pick and commands of the other team on the fly. I'm talking about on the fly here. See that they're picking and banning certain champions. Pick up on that. Change what you're going to do, which it can be very difficult because a lot of teams can't adjust to that, and it's you can't really change your game plan right off the bat. It's hard to do. Because it's not something you discuss. It's not really planned. It's on the fly now. Things are changing up, but ultimately have the same goal. But a lot of teams can't do that. They have a plan or they do plan B, but ultimately you don't really change things up. But a coach can identify that, and he uses Loco Doco as his coach as an example. He's actually a coach where he can go in and he's up there on the stage and he's like, whoa, Lissandra's being banned, and they banned Lucian. Just giving 2 examples. They're going for this comp, or they're going to go do this, right? And Loco Doco can go on the fly and be like, look, we're not banning, we're not going with this plan. What's going to happen here is we need to change this. We're going to ban these people and we're going to pick these people up because this is the comp I feel like they're going for. And he can do that on the fly, and of course, the players have to be confident, and most of the time, players are confident to do so. Now he talks about the backline, and I think this is very important because I think we just make a lot of assumptions because there's no head coach. You know, when we see a coach in TSM like Loco Doco, or we see a coach in CLG, which is Scar now, you know, we're like, oh, they have a coach, everything's good, you know. But that's not always the case, you know. Scar was an ex-player, and you know he's knowledgeable about the game, but does he really hold those coaching qualities? And what do you consider a coaching quality? And Dignitas, Odee has said this, that they are looking for a coach. It's not like they're sitting back, oh, you know, whatever our players want, they're just gonna do. And we don't really need a coach. No, he's looking for a coach, but he's looking for a specific coach that suits his team and suits what he wants for the team, what he wants the coach to do for the team. And I think this is important. You just don't want to pick up a known player that was once a player and now can be a coach, technically a coach. But that doesn't really make them a coach because they played the game and understand the game. Doesn't mean ultimately, you know, they know what's best for them. They can look at things, analyze things like Loco Doco, and you know, make things up on the fly, change things up, or you know, address things right off the bat. Also, he has a very democracy in Dignitas. His players have a lot to say. He's always ran it that way. That's the way he runs things. He gets slack for that, Odee, that is. And I feel like he just how he runs things, and he's very strict, and he's really stickler for the rules. He's mentioned that before, like the poaching rules. You know, he was right on top of that. He addressed it right away, and that goes for any LCS esports rule. He wants the rules to be followed. He wants things to be in order because he feels not just for his team, but for younger teams and newer teams that come into the scene. They don't want to be, you know, picked on and you know poached and all this other stuff that could happen to their team because of people bending or breaking the rules. So I feel like Odee is very strict when it comes to rules, and he's very informed and engaged with his team on Dignitas. They are looking for a coach. He states that he has many analysts. Many analysts. We don't even know. We have one name on the Wikipedia page, but he could have 3 to 4 analysts looking at a game, talking about different things, talking about different strategies. A team, a good management team there that we don't even know about. And I feel like a lot of the videos that we see with Cloud and Kiwi Kid and Crumbs and all these people stepping down, I feel we only know snips and bits of things. He even mentions this in the trash talk video, as I said. He does mention a lot of things, but one last thing was like the Scara thing. He mentions he had a video of Scara. There was a video not too long ago of Scara stating about the whole poaching thing and how you know the only way they found out is because he shared logs with Odee and he confided in Odee, and you know it made Odee look like he was in a bad spotlight and he took a lot of took a lot of heat for it. But you know, he just said Scar messaged me 10 minutes ago. Hey, I'm sorry about the video. That's not all what I mean. Blah 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 blah. And they're good friends. You know, when you're on stream or you say something on the fly, things can be taken out of context. Especially, we see this all the time with police videos. You know, we see a snippet of a police video of a police officer, you know, ruffling somebody down to the ground or beating them down to the ground, and you know, they're like, "That's police brutality. Why? Oh my God! Why is our police doing this?" We see this all the time now. It seems to be coming more and more on YouTube. You know, and we only see that small snippet, and then you know a video released later shows that you know this person was hitting and punching or had a weapon in their hands, and it wasn't as clear cut as we thought it was from the little snippet we saw to make the police look like these bad guys out to always get us and beat us and hurt us. And I think that's also what happens in esports. You know, we see these snippets, we take parts of the stream, or we take parts of an interview, and they're like, "Wow, look at this! Is really what's happening. This is what's really going on." And it's just a small part of the story that we don't understand. But I think that goes for anything, really. I think the same thing with professional sports. But going off of professional sports, I did want to talk about one thing, and that is Cody mentions a good thing. What professional team has their coach stay with the team, like sleep with the team, like in the house with the team, interactively with the team. No professional sport does that. And it's kind of weird that we kind of stick that in esports. It was a really interesting topic that he brought up because why do we expect an esports coach to be in the house, be interactive with the team 24/7 a day, be up their ass, seeing everything they do, and why? Where did this come from? Why do we associate that with being one of the coach qualities that you have to be in the house, that you have to be interactively in the house 24/7 or in the house to, intervene on things all the time. I don't think that's always the case. I think also when you're in the house, because you stay in the house doesn't mean that you're always like their coach and you're always there to analyze and break things up. I think, there are times where things are addressed and things are broken down as a team, but ultimately, there are times where I'm sure Skara and the rest of the people on CLG get along, go out, eat, have fun, and just are friends and just hang out and joke around as you see on stream, I'm sure, and what we don't see on stream. And that goes for every other place. If Locodocu's in the house, which I'm not too sure, but if he is in the house, he's in the house. He's walking around once in a while they're practicing and what they're supposed to be doing. He coaches, but he goes out. They have a good time. They eat. They celebrate. They whatever the case may be. I don't think they need to be in the house 24/7. Odee makes up a good point about that. Dignitas is okay. I did rant a lot, but they are okay. I mean, they still have a chance to get out of there, out of relegation. They have a chance to fight back. They have to adjust to a lot of things. This team is very new, and I think Dignitas gets a lot of slack because they don't have a coach. The main people feel now it is so important to have a coach. We looked back a few years ago, and nobody would even complain or whine that there wasn't a coach or an analyst. There was no such thing in NA when Korea was doing this before, and Monte Cristo, I guess was the first step or one of the first steps to having more coaches in NA and having a place, people as a leadership to come to NA and kind of help their team. Which is good. It is in the right direction. I'm not saying this is the wrong direction. I'm not saying that Odee or myself are saying that it's the wrong direction. Odee is, like I said, looking for a coach. Things are in the house okay. He mentions this. We don't see a lot of what's going on in the house. We don't actually see the whole management team. Like I said, we're just going off the Wikipedia page. It just tells you the managing director, the analyst, and the life coach. That's it. Like, this is it. And people honestly believe this. Like, it's not written on Wikipedia. They don't have anybody else in the team. Odee's mentioned he's got many analysts. He's got many people working the team. He's working through getting 3 junglers, basically. He had to go through Crumbs, then he had to go through Cloud, and now he's with the Zingy. So that's a whole new aspect in how they play. They're all different play styles and how they adjust and who they can play and what their niche champions are. There is still a language barrier between the top lane and the bottom lane. Your ADC and your top lane are, I'm sure, improving and have English lessons. So it's gonna take some time. I don't know why Odee gets a lot of slack after doing this trash talk. I did do more research and it did change my opinion. I mean, you have to look outside the box. You take the snippet and you can take it how it is. You can take what Skara says and you can take what Cloud says and you can take what Kiwi Kid says and then just have this ultimate idea of how things are bad. Their players are disgruntled and not happy, and things are just a mess in the Dignitas house, and they're just ultimately not getting along. And what's going on? Why is Odee doing this? But Odee is really involved. He seems like he's a very passionate coach. He's uh, he supports all his teams. He's good friends with his teams. He never wants to see a teammate go down or be frustrated. I mean, like you said, he's still friends with Skara. He's even friends with George, which is Hotshot GG. You know, he is friends with people within the community. He's friends with people within the esports industry. The Odee is not somebody that just sits there, owns a team, and calls it a day. There are much more issues within esports that we could be focusing on, that I've talked about in the past. Coast is one of them that they swap out a player anytime things are going bad. Oh, let's swap out a player. That's not what Odee wants to do, and things happen, and all these known stars. it's just a matter of time. Like I said, they get burnt out. They want things to change. They want bigger and better things. They want to try something new. And Odee takes a lot of slack for some of the things that he can't control. He can't beg and plead people to stay. And to say, you can go look into EU West. Reckless. He was on Fnatic, and his buyout price was $20,000. It was frustrating. And Fnatic probably tried everything in their willpower to keep Reckless, and they hyped up Reckless to keep him going. And then look, they lost him to Elements now. Well, officially Alliance, but now Elements. And it's just, you can only do so much, and they take a lot more slack. I think people are just now harping on Dignitas. They are not used to this new team. They have this idea that, oh, these non-known Koreans aren't that good. We're getting this perception now that, oh, not every Korean's good, but it takes time to adjust. I feel like there are some people that come in here will do really good from Korea, and some people that will, they're good, but it takes time. It takes time to adjust to the team atmosphere, the people they're playing with, adjusting to everything. They're in a whole new country. They're in a whole new place. So I just think that Dignitas is okay right now. We shouldn't be freaking out. Things are changing. There's a lot of things going on in Dignitas. I understand, but they're hanging in there. The players seem positive. The players want to win, and that's what ultimately matters. They're not in there. They're not frustrated like CLG last year. The CLG seemed really demotivated. They weren't happy. A lot of the problems that you saw through whatever the case may be, through a video and whatnot, and they seemed frustrated. They didn't seem happy. And this year they changed it around. So I think we just got to give Dignitas some time to adjust. Like I said, it's only the first split. We got one more split to go. They could turn it around, come first, and ultimately get into the Worlds just like that. So there's always that possibility. There's a lot of changes. Like I said, Odee didn't expect Crumbs to step down, which loses your leadership role. They've been through two other junglers now with Cloud Nugent, and now bringing a Zingy, and a Zingy having a rough first game. So there's a lot to it, and I don't think that they're letting their players fall, and I don't think they're letting their players to ultimately just not care and ultimately not be happy. That's just not the management way. But Odee does understand that people want to leave and do bigger and better things, and I think we associate these players to a certain brand or team, and it's hard for us to let go. It's hard for us to ultimately say goodbye to them and see them on a different team or a different jersey, or ultimately see them not playing the LCS anymore. And then, we're angry, we're upset that our pro player that we enjoyed and we loved watching is now gone. Who do we blame? And I think a lot of that slack goes on to Odee. But I think Odee's doing okay. I think Dignitas is okay. Just got to give him faith. Like I said, it's looking rough. A lot of people are giving them a lot of hard time, but they're still in this. They're 4-7. They are ninth place, and like I said, they can ultimately come back, keep winning, knock out the teams, hope the other teams get knocked out, and ultimately get fifth. They can still get fifth place easily, easily. So that is it. That is my video. Thank you all, and that's it. Bye.